Welcome, dear readers, to Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed but not read by yours truly. My name is Kaki.
And I'm Kay, and remember, we only judge a book by its cover.
And we find ourselves once more amid the towering stacks of your library, cowering from the storm that still rages overhead. It's
been going for a while, hasn't it? I've never seen a storm last for a week here.
I know. Now, for our comfort, I've repurposed the hebdomadary paddock, and I've sent them a little bit away. Those
Good.
Horrible.
They're smelly.
How do they smell?
Bookish. Well, no.
The joke is because they don't have heads and noses. How do they smell?
Terrible.
I don't know.
Oh.
You tell me.
I have a nose.
Yeah, where do you?
Never mind. No, I get it now.
Like the oldest smell joke, and okay.
But the joke is my dog has no nose. How does he smell terrible? That's the joke.
Yes, no, that's right. See, we've been cooped up in here in the hebdomadary paddock, sheltering from.
I think the fumes have gone to our head.
And yeah, right. I mean, the last time that we were locked in the library together for extended periods of time, like it took quite a while longer for us to succumb to cabin fever. And just look at us, we're just fighting.
We're in the well, we don't have the luxury of the kitchen that the visitor center provided.
No, that's right.
We are stuck here cooking on what I presume is hebdomadary droppings.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how you managed to dry them out in this weather, but yeah.
Successfully.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what's causing the smell, but also that could be the burning. But yeah.
Look, we're
warm, the books are fine.
You know, a bit of wilderness spirit. We make do with
Yeah, I'm not very good with wilderness spirit. I like creature comforts.
I mean, the creatures are over there.
Yes, and they're not very comfortable, so...
Well, that's... At least we haven't been desperate enough to actually try and eat a hebdomadary, because I'm not ready for that.
No, and I don't think we can distill them either.
Whoa.
Concentrated hebdomadary doesn't sound like a good thing.
No. I understand your need for creature comfort, and so, like, as you can see, I've got my traveling clothes on. Right? I've put aside my comfortable junior librarian tweed romper in exchange for some more rugged, like, outdoorsy ranging clothes.
Yes.
And
sleeveless corduroy.
In my new sort of traveling outfit, I've been going out of our shelter to try and acquire some of the creature comforts that you're used to. Unsuccessfully. I will immediately say.
I was going to say I hadn't noticed any, so
no,
I appreciate the effort, though.
And so I kind of wanted to talk to you about maybe like revisiting my role in the library, because I've been a junior librarian for I think about a year.
Probably
about a year. I mean, usually when I say things in this tone of voice, that turns out to be correct. So, if I do a self-review, like the junior librarian thing, I have not been a great librarian, have I?
Well, the whole conserving books part is definitely something that needs a lot of work.
Yes. I mean, so I haven't actively destroyed a lot. But
recently,
keeping it organized has not been the highest priority as much as making the library into a place that fulfills what I consider its potential. So I wonder if there is a space in your library, because I understand as the senior librarian it's yours, for a ranger.
A ranger?
Yeah, because then I can wear this hat, see?
It's a very smart hat.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm not sure if the library requires a lot of ranging.
Okay.
I would have gone.
Let me make a pitch to you.
Yes,
because I think that's not the case. Like, I've encountered several life forms in this library that do require some maintenance. Like the situation with the velociraptors. Now, you mentioned that was exacerbated when I arrived. I don't think I necessarily caused it.
Same with the hebdomaдаries.
Yes, exactly. And, like, who has protected the library from them?
I assume the raccoons.
Oh, the raccoons didn't build a fucking paddock for the dromedaries. And
so yes.
Yeah, right. And so I think that maybe that there's a place for me in this library to sort of deal with the wildlife and find a good balance between the ecosystem and the book system, the library system.
The books are the ecosystem.
I mean, even that has problems, doesn't it? I mean, you have the grimoire cage that are not allowed inside. And,
no, I didn't say you weren't allowed. I said you it would be unwise to go in there. There's a big difference.
And there's a lot of locks. So
for your safety. It's like,
yes, thank you.
Like, let me put it like this. If you are inside the grimoire cage and the door happens to close behind you, they are not locked in there with you. You are locked in there with them.
I'm fully aware of that, but it's also something that I can work toward. Like, those books deserve attention too. Right? And so do even the lowly bookworm that has been the staple of my diet in many of the early weeks. Like,
have you tried hebdomadary yet?
Fuck no.
I just think so. Kind of like frying a jellyfish, wouldn't it?
Would it?
I've never fried a jellyfish.
It's just membranes, man.
Is there such a thing as strawberry jellyfish?
KY jellyfish.
No, thank you. I've heard of other properties that they sometimes have. They say something about not sticking your dick in crazy, but like...
Listen, you don't have to decide right now. I'm comfortable in my role as a junior librarian, but just think about it and think about the discoveries that I've made. I'm continuing to make in my little leather-bound journal over here.
Did you make that in the book repair lab?
I did.
Yeah, I thought so.
did.
Yeah, you've been applying yourself into the art of bookkeeping. Very good.
Yes, I have in fact made a book that I'm currently writing. So I think that sort of counts. And since we've talked about perhaps holding another open day and maybe inviting some people in and making a little money on the side by providing them with some entertainment.
Oh, I mean, I would say libraries are not for entertainment, but they obviously are.
They
so
are.
Yeah,
They're,
so that's not
for education.
Yes, that too. So I was thinking rather than ranger, I was thinking more like concierge, custodian.
Custodian? Isn't that what the raccoons are?
That would technically put you in charge of them.
Okay. No, that's a sword of Damocles that you're dangling over my head.
You want a leadership function?
No, not over raccoons. Can you imagine that? Like they're the little rebels.
Well,
I mean, they did kidnap and replace each of us.
No,
for
I think
a
you
while.
just got lost.
Yeah, I mean, one of us.
And they tried to make the best. I think you got lost, and then they tried to make the best of the situation by providing a source of continuity, which I think is their dedication to the library.
Wow.
I mean,
every time that this happens, I'm reminded why you were the senior librarian. You understand this so much. Okay, so I will leave it in your hands. But in the meantime, perhaps we ought to discuss this week's book.
Oh, right,
because it's a
we
doozy.
I did manage to get some reading in between the storm.
So did I. Totally read this book, just like you.
This week's book is by E.E. Doc Smith in collaboration with Gordon Eklund.
Yes, it's a collaboration. I love those.
It is Lord Tedric, the Black Knight of the Iron Sphere.
Yes, and if you look down at your podcasting device, you should be seeing the cover of today's book. And if not, you can find an image in the show notes and a link, or you can check us out at covermyasscast.com and check out episode 65 to see the cover of this week's book, Lord Tedric by E.E. Doc. I can't really say quote marks without just pausing. Like Doc is his nickname. E. Doc Smith. Maybe he was a doctor.
I'm pretty sure that Doc Smith is pretty much the way he went. Like E. Doc Smith is just how it's put on the books, and I think Doc Smith is just more like the way to go.
And there's a lot going on in this cover. So Lord Tedric is in a big, bold font, Black Knight of the Iron Sphere. There's a dark, sort of starry blue background.
Yes. You can tell that this book was published in 1979, because they are clearly holding not lightsabers in their hands.
Yes. I think that one was described as the whip sword.
The whip sword, yes.
Sword, because it's a flexible, it's almost like a monofill. Is that what you call it? Like a monofill weapon?
No, monofill weapons are a staple for the cyberpunk diet. I think it was
Johnny Mnemonic.
Where you can see the first time. Although it was described more as a rainbow scintillation rather than the weird red
sort of laser spark,
glowing disc that it was in the movie. But yeah, the idea was I think it was portrayed fairly well. This looks more like the sticks that they used for mimicking the lightsaber fights.
They're sort of
reedy rods which were just coloured.
I think in the recent films, they had proper LED staves. So that they could glow on the actors' faces.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. They're going to have to add that in post. Because, the original one that they started out with was with...
sticks with UV reactive paint.
Yeah, which were rotating, actually.
Oh?
Yeah, basically a broom handle with several strips of reflective tape glued onto it, and it was rotating to create a scintillating effect,
wow.
and that didn't work at all. So they ended up doing it in post. That was the original idea behind.
Yes, and you can also see him mouthing the lightsaber sounds because he couldn't.
No, that was
Ewan McGregor.
They had to stop him from doing that. We're going to. You don't have to make the sounds. We're going to do that later.
Oh, and I think it was also Laura Dern who played Admiral Holdo in The Last Jedi. When she finally grabs a gun, you could clearly see her going pew 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 pew.
Yes. There was a fantastic interview scene with Ewan McGregor. They actually gave him one of those prop lightsabers, and and he was just he started swinging around. The host goes "Oh, you're pretty good with that." It's I spent 3 years doing this. Of course, I'm good at this.
Yes, and for each one of those, you've got months and months of training with expert fencers.
Exactly. He did stupid amounts of training swinging those things around. So yes, of course he knows how to swing a lightsaber and make it look good. he still acted
We
out.
thought you were just acting.
Yes, exactly.
But you actually, yes, well,
Didn't do that.
acting is doing when it comes to swinging things.
Yeah, exactly.
But so,
anyway, yes, Lord Tedric.
yes, this takes place in a world, and we'll get to the synopsis in just a second if you care to regale our audience with that. But this takes place in a universe where people don't go to the movies anymore because that's all just way too fake, and what they want is live musical theatre. Because that's ultimately, like, those are real people doing the singing and dancing and jumping around and waving their whip swords.
With an actual orchestra playing the music.
Yes, exactly.
And even the fact that they have to play it every day and twice on a Saturday.
They're still doing it.
They're still doing it. I mean, I guess that's the whole point of musicals.
The appreciation of authenticity.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing here is either the rehearsal or the first performance of the play that we're referring to. Lord Tedric, which is, of course, the missing Shakespeare play.
The Lost Shakespeare play, as mentioned in the synopsis.
Let me read that for you.
Yes.
The musical stage productions have evolved to the point where dance fights are as deadly as real ones, and Michael Flatley XIV, down on his fortune, is alluding to an anarchic production of the Lost Shakespeare play, Lord Tedric. But it was lost for a reason, and the aliens who buried it have no intention of letting this harmless farce reach the stage.
And so on the cover, I mean, we see obviously Michael Flatley XIV, the broad-chested, wild-haired, leg-kicking, tights-wearing gentleman on the front, but we also see the intense glare of one of the aliens mentioned on the cover. I sort of appreciated that the aliens didn't introduce themselves with their name, like they continue to be described as the primates, which is sort of what, like, they're blue, they have pointy ears, they have sort of snarling mouths, but...
Yeah, I was going to say Rafiki from The Lion King, but...
Oh, that's a baboon, isn't he?
I think so, but yeah, baboonish.
Asante sana, squash banana, where we nugo mimi apana.
Thank you very much for the squash bananas. I never really understood that, but okay.
Is that what Asante sana means?
Yes, it's thank you very much.
Oh, that's nice.
It is.
I also like that...
Asante, thank you. Asante sana, thank you very much. Other than that, on the front cover, we have the female lead of the play, Princess Drinking Beauty.
Yes, Princess Drinking Beauty. I thought that was a very curious name. I mean, we see her on the cover here, sort of shying away in a rather revealing costume, as was typical of this era of sci-fi. She seems to be sort of, oh no, a conflict. I am but a poor woman.
We're talking about dance fights here, so it's like there's a lot of that going on. And this is clearly the situation where the aliens are trying to mess up the play, as they were going to do. And she's shying away from the actual deadly dance fight. I mean, like a lightsaber has nothing on a properly executed pirouette.
These dancers are fucking savage. She has learned her choreography from Bob Fosse XIV.
Yes.
The descendant of a famous Earth choreographer, which is the only reason that the human theatre performers are able to stand up against the primates who want to stop the production of not just Lord Tedric, but all of the lost plays, including Romeo and Ethel, the pirate daughter.
Yes.
She's
one of the pirates of Penzance.
One of Shakespeare's plays that the primates hid, and his other famous play, All the Single Ladies, which has a lot of dancing in it, and high heels, and you put your hands up, because these primates, as we realized, they discovered Shakespeare through. Do you know the concept of the infinite monkeys theorem?
If you take an infinite amount of monkeys and you have them banging away on typewriters, eventually one of them will produce the complete works of Shakespeare.
And that's what happened with the primates, isn't it?
Oh.
That's how they, just banging away on keyboards, texting to each other over millennia of spacefaring civilizations, eventually they accidentally produced the complete works of Shakespeare, including the lost plays, such as All the Single Ladies and Romeo and Ethel, the Pirate's Daughter, and Lord Tedric and Razzmatazz. And they evidently suffered some horrible cataclysm that led to them wanting to erase these plays from the rest of the universe. So this is kind of a reverse infinite monkey theorem. They came up with it first, and then at some point, a human writer...
We find this out fairly early on in the book that Lord Tedric contains a scene which, especially when choreographed as a dance routine, turns out to be a fair folk blood rite.
No, the fair folk, of course, being the very kind name for the mythical creatures,
the fae, the she, whatever you want to call them,
of the Albion Islands mythology, the Celts and the Gaels. Our story begins while Michael Flatley XIV is finishing his last performance of Feet of Flames, the sort of rocket boot tap dancing extravaganza. Pretty huge mortality rate both among the dancers and the audience.
There's a lot of shrapnel coming off. And
exactly.
It's like, that's the stage of dance fighting, is, where perfectly executed fouet en tournant can decapitate like half the audience if the actor gets his angle wrong and it like doesn't go into the safety zone. It's like, when you like go to a dolphinarium or something where they have a killer whale orca show and like at the front they have the splash zone.
You will get wet.
They kind of have things like that in theaters here. Like you've got the death zone and the splash zone, and like the death zone is like it's not like you're guaranteed to die, but it's like there's no refunds if you do.
No, and you would expect that nobody takes anyone there, nobody goes there, but that's a really popular spot. Those are really popular seats for first dates.
It is,
because we're going to like live on the edge, and whichever one of us makes it out. If we both make it out, then we know that we've got.
But
something.
Also, when you've got a famous troupe, with like when you've got a well-established troupe which knows that they can pull it off and they will not kill their audience, then it becomes a bit of a thing to sit there.
There is a sort of point of pride to being able to offer a death zone that people actually do show up for.
I mean, it gives a whole new meaning to the term red carpet, but it's...
And our sort of eagle-chested, red, unitarded Michael Flatley XIV is certainly one of those performers who can command a nearly full death zone in the audience. I mean, that's in front of the what are the seat names called again? Like you've got the gods and the stalls and the wings and the balcony
and the nosebleeds.
That's in stadiums, but so that's.
I don't know.
But like gods are worse than stalls, which is kind of
gods, because the gods are way up there and they've got
is that what it is?
I think
they look down on the head.
I think that's the thing. It's like, I've like been to theaters where I had to go into the cheap seats and you're sitting up.
The expensive seats are like boxes which suck. You're off to the side. You don't see the backdrop.
But I guess you're more there to be seen than to see. I think that's the part of the thing. You don't want to be bothered and hustled, and you can get your drink on. You can get a quick hand job on the side when nobody's going to see.
Oh, really? Okay, so you've clearly had more theatre experience than I have.
Well, certain man of the world, you could say that I am. Anyway, moving swiftly onwards.
But I was trying to make a connection between the man of the world and the Black Knight of the Iron Sphere, but I think so. He's just announced his next production of Lord Tedric. His announcement is interrupted because as soon as these words leave his mouth and they're broadcast across the social media of whatever future civilization Earth has achieved, it's intercepted by the Simian civilization, who arrive in force and declare that no, we will not permit the performance of Lord Tedric. Centuries ago, we travelled to Earth to excise this fair folk blood right from from your literature. And I don't know how you've recovered it, but you must not perform it.
Turns out that there's a upcoming cosmic conjunction event going on, and
one of those cosmic syzygies.
Oh, I suppose.
Do you know what a syzygy is?
I've heard the name before.
I don't either. I know that it comes up in some science fiction programs. I think it's supposed to mean a planetary alignment, but our planets don't do that, do they?
Oh yes, our planets align all the time.
Not all of them. I think they can't.
They can't. No,
I think it's
Pluto and Neptune
impossible.
Cannot. Also, the thing is, viewed from Earth, they don't have to be in line from the sun.
That is true.
More importantly, is the fact that Lord Tedric, of course, originally wasn't a dance production.
No,
it wasn't really a thing back in Shakespeare's days, I suppose. But they've the aliens have realised that in the cosmic event in combination with the dance conjunction will be a bit of a problematic situation because it'll perform the fair folk blood rite, which will eventually summon the beast with two backs.
Yes, the beast with two backs is known for being covered in horns. It's a very horny creature. Isn't it
is very much so,
and it's just undulating and writhing, and it's got all of these humps. It's a very humpy, horny kind of creature, isn't it?
Yes,
and it's known to penetrate its participants and it's a savage.
It's another expression that Shakespeare came up with.
Oh,
wow. It is from Othello.
Oh, wow, that's incredible, because I know it, I know it as a metaphor for, fucking.
It is.
Okay.
And that's what Shakespeare came...
Because he couldn't say fucking, could he?
Probably not. No, your wife and what's-his-face are making the beast with two backs.
And, yes, and he just expected his audience to understand that he made all these sex jokes. There was...
there were loads of them. I mean, the whole name, Much Ado About Nothing in the time was a euphemism for the female...
for vaginas.
vagina.
Oh, no thing. thing.
Yeah,
okay.
much ado about nothing. That was exactly what the play happens
It
to
had
be.
tons of sex jokes. I learned about a troupe out in England who does original pronunciation versions, and they thought initially like they'd do this as a sort of a cultural curiosity, because if they do it in original Shakespearean, like 15th century English, people wouldn't understand it. But I mean, you can actually handle it pretty well.
Okay.
But when you do it in the original translation, certain usually sex jokes emerge. Like there's a sequence from, and I forget the play. I humiliate myself. This is why I'm not such a good librarian. I should be a better ranger. Where a sea captain is musing about mortality. He sort of uses a metaphor like fruit hanging on a tree, and hour by hour we ripe and ripe, fruit going ripe, and hour by hour we rot, and thereby hangs a tale. But when you say it in the way that it would have been pronounced in the 15th century, it would be, and hour by hour we rape and rape, and hour by hour we rut, and thereby hangs a tale. And that's certainly when a sea captain says that,
I can see how that was
going. A
going.
young sailor gets a very different message.
Yeah, the thing is when Iago is reading a letter and he says like, oh, it must be from her because I recognize her by her lovely C-U auntie.
Wow.
Which is played straight, of course, but the rest of the play, all the other characters are making fun of him. And it's...
So Shakespeare clearly contributed a lot, but these primates have decided that there should be no more. And while the last victims from the death zone are being carried away, who got blasted by his rocket boots from Feet of Flames performance, they decide that this will be decided through a dance fight, sending down their best dancer.
It's not really like it's been like they decide it's going to be decided by a dance fight. They send down a fighter to like make sure that Michael Flatley XIV doesn't pull off his performance at the right time. I mean, all the rehearsals, everything's gone fine, and nobody's got any problem. That's why they're going like, "What you going on about? There's no problem. We're not like summoning anybody. Like, first of all, it's a blood rite, so no blood has to flow, and secondly, like we've done this a dozen times, and we've had accidents during the pre-production, and nothing has ever happened. Of course, the aliens know that it has to be done during the time of the cosmic conjunction,
which is coming up, and the dance conjunction, especially
coincidentally, exactly at the time of the premiere, and they decide that like, okay, yes, we're going to have to stop this, and they send one of their fighters to come on down and like physically stop Michael Flatley I. And of course, it turns into a dance fight because he knows what kind of damage he can do with his pirouettes and his kick flicks.
Oh yeah. Certainly, when you're a simian and you have additional agility. So when he does one of those, there's a famous dance, a popular sort of fad dance, which he uses to sort of get the crowd on his side and do some significant damage to Michael Flatley. The brain duster, followed by a pile driver. Like these were fun. These were fun dances that people did together, and there'd be some injuries now and then. But
sorry. Speaking of pile driver, like this is gonna,
where is this going?
This is going to turn into another like Kay and Kaki describe the internet.
Oh no!
This is like a fun play. A few building constructors somewhere in Asia, and they've got this big post standing in there, and they've got this cross post on top of it. Like 4 dudes climb on top of this, and then they could do this little jumpy dance thing where they literally drive this post into the ground.
What?
They're literally doing a pile driver dance.
That's so cool.
And they're singing a little song while they're doing it, and apparently it's like some really dirty ditty about like someone's wife, having posts driven into them or something.
No. Ponho caro, tio caro, ahora que eu quiser. It's a Portuguese like carnival song, and it's about how my neighbor in the next apartment lets me park my car in her garage, and I'm driving my car into and out of her garage, and she doesn't mind, and like it gets proper neutral.
That sounds kind of like kind of carnivalesque song that you would expect.
Michael Flatley, who's just been surprised by these amazing dance moves, the brain duster and pine driver, returns with a really graceful like suplex. He even gets the help of Princess Drinking Beauty to perform a perfect choke slam. Like these are such graceful dances.
It's amazing, and really, I love how Doc Smith manages to describe the aesthetic beauty that a dance performance is in literature work.
I like that too. What was your favorite passage? What was your favorite? Hey Kay, what was your favorite description of these great lines from Doc Smith and Gordon Eklund? What was your favorite moment where he described something really cool?
I think that was right towards the end of the fight when it looks like Michael Flatley XIV is about to deliver the killing blow. And instead the character of Falstaff, played by Dirk Solomon, steps in, to catch the deadly slash. And it kind of backfires.
No, I agree. That was so beautiful and tragic because I've always had a little soft spot for Falstaff. He's the fool, but
I mean, this must be the fourth Shakespeare play that he shows up in.
Yeah, the others being Romeo and Ethel, the pirate's daughter, and
I think it's more like King Richard 1, 2, and 3, but it's like.
Yeah, and,
or the other one,
and King Richard 4 Part 1 and 4 Part 2 and King Richard First Blood Part 3. Yeah, no, that's right.
Yes.
And of course in Hill City Blues.
Are you sure we're not dealing with last week's episode?
Who knows? Well, only facing forward, which is what Dirk Solomon playing Falstaff tells Michael Flatley.
Just as he dies from the blood loss, which has been caused by Michael Flatley's dance moves, thereby starting to trigger the dance conjunction.
The cosmic event has finally been completed, and despite all of their efforts, the primates are in fact responsible for
bringing out the beast with two backs.
It kind of got Lovecraftian at this point.
Fortunately, Princess Drinking Beauty has her bottle of Veuve Clicquot on hand, and just
what?
Veuve Clicquot, it's a champagne brand.
That sounds lovely, yeah.
It's quite nice. Like a proper Glaswegian lass, smashes the back of the bottle on the banister.
Oh yeah, she fucking glasses it.
And she just shanks the beast with two backs. And it's,
Yep. She just totally obliterates him, Gangnam style. It's so hardcore. She mashes his potato.
Yeah, more like stab and twist rather than mash, but yeah.
Let's stab and twist.
Nothing I would ever do to a poor potato.
And finally, seeing the primate dance warrior giving his life to defeat the beast with two backs, willing to sacrifice himself, plunging his chest onto the glass bottle that Princess Drinking Beauty is holding. Michael Flatley, he understands some of the sincerity behind the primate's desires not to have this performed, and cradling the primate dance warrior in his arms as he dies, he grants him that most solemn of honors. And he stands up and he leads the audience in the great ritual of mourning of the passing of the hero, the Macarena. And quietly and solemnly, they reach forward and they cross their arms and they wiggle their hips and welcome the primates into the community of man.
Fortunately, since the cosmic event has passed, the production of Lord Tedric can go ahead, but it is in fact, at the end of every performance, they still do the Macarena to honor the primate aliens
who never gave his name and died nameless, the nameless dancer who saved the galaxy. And of course, they finish every one of these Macarenas with that famous dance move introduced by Bob Fosse the 14th, Jizz Hand. And that brings us to the conclusion of this book, and I thought it was a fucking doozy. I thought it was
amazing.
We can hardly recommend Lord Tedric, Black Knight of the Iron Spheres, but how are we going to rate this book?
Well, we can't rate it in common time.
Okay, so it's not 4 on the floor.
Exactly.
All right.
This book went all over the place.
It did a bit, didn't it?
What's a good tempo measure type thing
okay. So you've got the quick step, you've got the foxtrot.
You've got 15 thick 16s, which is a bit crazy, but
yes.
7/8?
7/8. That's like Salisbury Hill, isn't it, by Peter Gabriel?
I think it is, yes.
All right, so 7 out of 8?
7 out of 8, I'll give it that.
Down and up on Salisbury Hill.
I can see the city lights. Yes, let's not go into a rendition of this, because
why not? It's probably pretty great. I don't remember all the lyrics.
I probably could shout along with most of them.
Son, he said, grab your things, I've come to take you. Dun, 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 dun.
Yes, I'll give it 7/8.
That's wonderful. And speaking of reviews, you can leave a review of your own if you look down at your podcasting device right now, and maybe your podcasting application will let you leave a review. Ideally of an episode that you haven't listened to yet, but otherwise you can just leave us a few stars. We'd love to hear from you at covermyasscast@gmail.com. We're Cover My Asscast on Twitter and on the web at covermyasscast.com. Gosh, we're everywhere, and we hope to have some news for you soon about that open day that we're going to organise.
Yes, we'd love to see anybody there who can make it, if we can actually get it around to organise.
Don't be so pessimistic.
No, I'm sure we can.
We'll try and figure out whether we can open a portal into the library. Hey, we haven't done that in a while. Maybe in Croydon, in the south of London.
Croydon seems to be linguistically appropriate location for that.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see if you've got something to do on the 25th of April in Croydon, and we'll just see whether you can maybe make it to our open day.
Join us in the library.
But in the meantime, what do we have in store for our readers next week?
Next week's book is by Chris Manyard. It's called Manifold Destiny, the one, the only guide to cooking on your car engine.
That about covers it. Thank you for joining us at Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed but not read by yours truly. My name is Kaki.
And I'm Kay, and remember, we only judge a book by its cover.
And we're never dancing them out. Let's try some of these dance moves, by the way.
Dance, wherever you can be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he.
Oh no, that's too much. That's
wherever you may be, and only you all in the dance, said he.
Oh, you know a lot about that. That's wonderful.
I might rocket boots. Couldn't get them through customs.